Hello, everybody. Welcome again to another edition of the Winner Circle Sports Betting Podcast. And we're powered by GamblersWorld.net. Sean Higgs coming at you. I got Mr. Doug Upstone on a Thursday, June the 20th. And listen, we're going to talk a couple baseball games again. We do these in the morning time here. So only two night games, so not much for us to choose from today, Doug, for me and you. Maybe the Chipper shows up. I think this is the routine when I come on to do a show on Tuesday or Thursday. Maybe Chipper shows up today. We'll see if he has internet. We'll see what happens. It's happening with Jesse. But you could find me over at gamblersworld.net with a gaggle, and I don't know if 9 is actually a gaggle of the world's best handicappers. Go find us there for some premium content. Mr. Doug here, a good friend of the show, Doc Sports. It's been around for quite a bit. Almost as old as Chipper, possibly a year or two younger than Willie Mays, who just passed at 93, the say hey kid, Doug. So before we jump into that, I didn't get to talk to you. The Celtics series ended. Any thoughts on that? And you like the hockey? Anything? I'm not really huge on hockey. I think the Oilers actually come back and win this. I think Florida kind of toyed with themselves a little too much, and I think they're in trouble. And I gave my thoughts on Boston. People think I'm crazy. Hey, they were supposed to win it all. They won it. Kind of lackluster, ho-hum kind of finals.
Yeah, it definitely was. And just in general, the interesting thing to me, I had a best bet on Game 5, especially after Game 4, and because there'd be enough people. I figured that would be all over, how Dallas played, and they'd be excited. And as we see, especially like in finals, for the most part, the carryover from one game to the next is seldom something that you see that matters. So yeah, but I think they're the third team ever to win 80 games for a season, and so that's of note in terms of what they did. But yeah, NBA finals. I mentioned this. I think you were on one of the shows that I did. It's incredible to me, and it just doesn't get enough credit. Okay, 1, 2, or 3 seeds have won every NBA title since, except twice, and both of those circumstances were a little bit shaky. Both have won every NBA title. Okay, so it's if you're not in the top 3, you're not winning the championship. So Dallas was 5, didn't seem real hard. Okay, so that was for me. I bet that, of course, so that was easy. As far as the hockey, though, I have to say that I was, I'll admit it, I had my playoff game of the year with Florida, and I was absolutely shocked how tentative, how lackluster they played right from the start. The two series were lining up in perfect correlation with each other. So you're home. And to come out like they did, I was shocked, and I took a lot of criticism for missing that pick, and I guess deservedly so. But I'll be honest with you, Sean, if that game was going tonight,
9 out of 10 times you're doing the same thing.
I'd take it again.
They lost what, 8 to? I had them first period. I think there was like a plus 170 for the first period or something.
Okay.
Because I'm thinking, you get smacked like that, you want to come out and be like, we're home. All right, you won that game, but wow, yeah, just I don't know.
Yeah,
the Oilers have found their way the last game and a half. Like, they came on strong at the end of game 2 there, I guess, game 3.
Game 3, right?
Yep, and then the explosion.
Made a move. And the whole thing is Connor McDavid now is playing like Connor McDavid.
Yeah,
he's been unstoppable. But like Chuck has just been completely taken out of this series. And again, to me, and the two defining things for me is that they're how they play. They just force you out away from the center. That's just how their defense is set up. And then if you're on the power play, they just attack you. Okay, on the perimeter. And in Game 5, they didn't do any of that until late. And so it was mystifying to me. I still think they're going to end up winning the series. I think you might be right. It might go 7 games. But again, I'm still going to go with 2 teams in the history of the NHL have come back from 3-0. Maybe this is the third one. I just wouldn't be willing to bet on that myself.
I get, listen, like I said, coming back for 3-0, next to him possibly, very difficult. Florida's a small dog. I understand you want to take Florida. Me, on the other hand, I'm like, you know what? Sign me up for some Oilers plus 200 on the puck line. Like, if they're gonna win, they'll win. If it loses, it loses. So it's not
Right.
going to, it
Yeah,
doesn't make
well,
a difference.
especially yeah, when you're basically getting even money on the
Yeah.
road, I mean, with that. So no, the logic that you're saying, I like what your logic is there. Makes sense to me. I just, just from the standpoint, I still think the better coach, they still have the better coach. It's just the lack of emotion. I mean, you played sports. I mean, when you have an opportunity to wrap something up, okay, I just I
You
don't
think you want
understand
to
how you.
win,
I mean,
but
I, and it's not that
eh,
they didn't want to win; they just didn't play like they wanted to win, and just were lackluster. And maybe
that
that shorthanded goal took the wind out of their sails for a while. I
I
don't
don't know.
know. It
Yeah.
was weird though.
Well, we get a game six. That's good for the fans. You get a nice Friday night game, but we got some baseball to talk about here tonight. A couple games. We're going to talk about you're going to talk about the Giants and the Cardinals. We got a game. It's not in St. Louis. They'll play today. Off game tomorrow. Back in St. Louis. We're at the historic Rickwood Field, Birmingham, Alabama, which is kind of fitting, I guess. Willie Mays, we touched on briefly, just passed, 93 years young.
Yeah,
Could be the best player. I know, Babe Ruth gets denied, I guess, based on being a pitcher back in the day, but Willie Mays, sure as heck. Wow, fabulous kind of guy. But here we go. Oldest park, professional park. I know they did some changes here, but it's still an ode to the old Negro leagues here. And we have the Cards, short little fave, minus 117, total of 9. And you kind of wish you had a little better matchup. Like, why do I feel like this should have been I guess Lance Lynn, because he's an old guy. Where's Adam? Who's their old pitcher who just retired for them?
Oh, Adam Wainwright.
Wait, yeah, why isn't Wainwright pitching this game? He should be pitching.
Bring him back. Yes,
But you
yes.
got Palante versus Keaton Wynn, and listen, Palante's pitched a little better. Wynn's has been bad. I'm not going to steal your thunder on any of those kind of things. I'll come back to me because I'll wrap it up, put a bow on that game. But what do you got to say on it? I'm thinking you're probably thinking the same route as me on this game, but go
Yeah,
for it. Let's go.
yeah. Both the Giants and St. Louis come into this with on having lost series. Now the Giants losing at the Cubs at Wrigley Field, not a big surprise, but to me it was a shocker. The Cardinals losing a series at Miami, that took me by surprise. And you mentioned Rickwood Field, and this game is going to be on Fox, by the way, tonight at 7:15 Eastern. And there was the Birmingham Black Barons of the Negro League, and they played there from 1924 to 1960. And I did not realize that was still around that long at that time. Okay, coming into it. So yeah, you mentioned Keaton Wynn. Yikes, 3-7 with a devilish ERA of 6.66
Yes.
on the road. Even worse. Okay, 9.12. At least this is a neutral site game as opposed to a true road game. Palante 2-2, 3.64 ERA. He's pitched out of the bullpen 9 times. This will be his 5th start overall. And I remember a few years ago this was going to be one of their guys, okay, to be in the starting rotation. Now he's 27 years old, and really he doesn't really fit either role. He's not really good as a starter, and he's generally ineffective as a reliever. So, I mean, to me, he's nothing more than an innings eater as a starter. To be honest with you, Sean, I'm not really thrilled about either team in terms of the money line here. So I'm looking at the total, and it was interesting to me this morning to see. I saw it last night. It was 8.5. This morning it's up to 9, and it was up to 9 despite the fact that 90% of the bets and the money were both on the under. Okay, so I thought that was sort of an interesting twist. So got a lot to decipher there, a lot of conflicting information. So what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to go with one of my systems on this one. I'm going to play under on Thursday road teams when the total is 9 to 9.5, like the Giants, that are batting 200 or less in their last 3 games. Now, some of you say, well, Doug, what's the big deal about a Thursday? Well, in baseball, Thursday's either beginning or the end of a series. Okay, so that's where it's applicable. In the last 5 years, in this situation, teams like the Giants are 37-8 under. I'm going with the under 9, Sean, on this one.
Let's also say that Arenado could possibly be out here for St. Louis. I saw he got hit, so he's kind of questionable for this game. You also have, you got a better number here because 8.5 and went to 9. which is odd considering St. Louis on a whole is 40-30 to the under. But you look at the win numbers. I mean, they're just terrible. A 3.10 batting average against on the road. I know it's a neutral, but still, it's not where he's, I guess, comfortable pitching, if you want to say that, because his overall numbers aren't all that special. In a 23 innings, 24 runs his last 4 starts. He gets. I mean, Doug's official play on the under. I'm going to come in here though. I got a little ribby prop here on the Cardinals. Brandon Donovan. He's second on them with RBIs. I think he's at 34. It's 2-1 odds, plus 200. I'm going to grab a little ribby there just because wind's been bad. Why not take a plus 200 with a RBI leader versus a guy who's given up over a run an inning?
Yeah, I like that, and he's been, let's just say, his average hasn't been great of late, but he has a RBI in each of his last 4 games, at least one in his last 4 games. So he's been a nice little streak. So yeah, hey, I'll go with that. That makes sense to me, and decent payout.
Somehow, again, they don't score a lot of runs since they're a under kind of team. But if you're gonna be 2-1 versus a guy who's given up a run in every innings he's pitched the last 4 games, maybe the gods are with me here on this one. I don't know. And here's another one I sort of looked at a little bit. Maybe a little ode to Mays and the stolen bases. I think Stasi's the kid's name here. He's got like 9 or 10 steals. He was like a plus 330 on steals. I was thinking about using that. But I was like, what, let me just go to. I've been doing a lot of ribby props on the season, so I gotta stick to my ribbies. What I've been doing with. But well, we were supposed to have the chipper with us today for this game. I'm sure we would have came in here with a nice fun fact on this game. He might have been an opening day. Who knows? He could have been at the opening day at this ballpark back in the day in 1910. But I have his next matchup here. The lone late game, of course, it's at 10 o'clock at night here between the Brewers and the Padres. Oh, Bryce Wilson, Adam Mazur. I mean, the Padres rolling in. They get a win yesterday against Philly. Okay, and good win. I was on the other side. I had a run line with Suarez there, who had been 12-2 in run lines, and he's been pitching well. I'm like, Padres are reeling, right? You lost 5 in a row, 9 straight on the road before that win. So here we go with this little matchup here. I'm torn here because I don't like taking teams coming back off road trips, right? So I got that working against me because they're not even playing well. They're not. It's either, we got to win. It's not like you're win, lose. You lost 9 in a row on the road, 5 straight, and you're coming home where you're under 500 on your own turf, in your own home court here, fields, whatever you want to call it. You should have some kind of advantage. Most teams are great at home and so on the road. These guys are just the opposite. I got a guy on the hill. Are you kidding me? 13 walks in his last 12 2/3 innings with Mazur. I can't. And here on the other side of this, I got the Brewers, who are talk about in a slump. Somehow they were ranked number 1 in offense for a while, and I don't know how they do it. This is a team when they had Woodruff and Burns healthy pitching, they couldn't score 2 runs a game. Then all of a sudden, Woodruff hits the injured list for life, and they trade Burns away, and then they could score runs all of a sudden. I don't get it. How about this? A 119 batting average, 10 of 89 were runners in scoring position their last 10 games. How? This is an under for me all day here. I got to go under the total here. It's an 8.5. Where the run's coming from? I got a tired out Padres team that doesn't hit all that much, not just this year or last year or the year before. They got their nice payroll, a lot of good names. They got all the names, nice middle of the water, good names. What are we getting out of them? No, thank you. I like the under. And I also have a prop in this guy here. I got another prop because the old chipper. I'm gonna throw you under the bus, Chip. You're not here. I don't mind. You can't log on. You can't comment. So I won't have to worry about you saying anything bad on the YouTube channel. I liked and I had ribbies for all the teams in this on our night card here, but I like Yelich at a 160. Now I just talked about their terrible runners in scoring position batting average. He's hitting like 325. He's got like 50 ribbies. The 2 guys in front of him, Contreras and Terang, are both hitting pretty well. 305 for Contreras, who's having a great year, by the way. And Terang's at 285 versus a guy who's walked a guy every inning. I mean, this guy just walked. So if you're going to walk a guy, chances are I get another hit. I got first and third with my number 3 hitter coming up. All I need I need a ground out or a sac fly. I got a ribby. I'm getting a ribby in the first inning. I've cashed this one. But then that's all the runs I want because I like the under. But there's that. That's what I thought. Under this game with two, and I don't care what the numbers say, the metrics and the stat nerds want to come in with these kind of numbers with WAR and all this nonsense. Give me the under 8.5. Give me the under 8.5.
All right. Well, on this one, I'm going to agree with you on your prop play. I think that it's nicely positioned. And, and in terms of the Brewers scoring more, well, they brought up all those young guys last year, and some of those guys can play. And so, and a couple of guys that you mentioned also are having career years. So that's been a big benefit. Here's the thing, the Padres, the most mystifying thing about their 9-game losing streak on the road was that prior to the start of that, they were 19-11 on the road, or 19-10, I think is what it was. Yeah. 19-10 on the road, third best record at the time on the road, and then they just do that. So that is crazy. I understand your point about flying all the way cross country and stuff like that, worn out, 6-game road trip that didn't go particularly well at 1-5. But at least they'll be home. Not that they've played home, but at least they'll be home. So I'm not really sure. But you talk about Mazur. So for anybody who hasn't been in Texas, and Sean knows this, and I was just there. So I'm going to use this reference as the one they originally thought of. His ERA, Mazur's, is 7.81, which would be a Buc-ee's sized ERA. Okay.
What did you think of the Buc-ee's?
We can talk about that later.
We'll wrap up with Buc-ee's in the closing.
But and Buc-ee's, by the way, it's a gas station of sorts, but it's a Walmart gas station, basically, is what it is, and not in the traditional sense, the size of the whole place. But anyways, and they have a big gulp. Well, this thing it's like this big. Okay, it's huge, and his ERA, by the way, is also north of 2. Okay, in this one. Not only, to what Sean said, not only walking 13 batters in not even 13 innings, he's also given up 13 hits. So basically 2 base runners per inning, okay, is what he's done. Just remarkable. And he's only struck out 8, so this one. So whether I think Brewer batters, by the way, and they forgot about Bryce Wilson of the Brewers. Okay. Last 3 starts, 8.31 ERA. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think both teams are going to have some really delectable looking pitches coming their way to swing at here. But I look at both bullpens, and both bullpens are solid. Okay, so I'll even go along with you on the under for the game, but I'm going to go over the 4.5 for the first 5 innings, thinking we're going to get some runs out of these guys, and I think we're going to be able to cash a ticket on that one. So over 4.5 first 5 innings, Padres and Brewers.
The Wilson numbers are bad. It's a 153 whip. His last 7 starts are on the road. He's just 5+ ERA north of 5. But for me, the overwhelming why I'm on the under is I know you're back from road trip, but East Coast. I mean, you're basically at the Atlantic. You're flying back to the Pacific.
Yep.
Same day. It was an afternoon game. So what? You get out of there an hour, 6 o'clock. You fly back. I know you're going like time warp because you're going back. You're home. It's girlfriends, it's wives, it's kids. It's a lot of stuff. I feel like that first game back is always a bad spot for a home team, no matter what. And then you're a bad pitcher. I get it. Bryce Wilson, not as good. His numbers are bad. I just feel like the combination of everything, Brewers not hitting in the clutch, tired bats at San Diego, kind of anemic. Will I be shocked if this game is 4-4 or something like that early? Not really, but on the same token, if it ends 5-3, I think that's what I actually think this game's gonna be like a 6-1 kind of game. Someone will score some runs off somebody, but I don't know. I understand because the numbers say both these guys are gonna give up runs, but on the flip side, you got the hitters who aren't even hitting as well. So what? It's like a movable force in the irresistible object. How's that say? It's like two things clashing. It's like in Predator where Schwarzenegger and Carl Weathers lock hands. Like who's going to break first, the bad pitching or the bad hitting?
Well, I'll go along with this. Is that, and this is a very popular thing people say today. 2 things can be true at the same time. Okay, you can win on the over for 5 innings, and you can win on the under for the game. So how about that?
I agree.
Compromise
I
on that
agree.
one.
I agree. Doug's official play over. Oh, not well. It's an official play because I got this game, but
You
he
got this
likes
one.
the over in the
I like
Brewers
the under.
Padres.
No, under
Un-
under on the Giants and Cardinals.
yes, under
Yes.
that's the official play. But I was saying over. I said official for this one because you were talking about it, and
Yeah.
this is not your official play. Under Padres 8.5 for me here. Doug is going over the St. Louis. No, you're going under the St. Louis
I'm
game.
going over
First five.
for the first five. Over first
Here we go.
5.5. Yeah.
As I totally butchered that up because I caught the back end of the scroll coming across, and I apologize for that.
Well, that was actually my fault. That it's not the I gave them the wrong information, so I'm the one that was at fault. I got it confused myself. So that all criticism can come my way. Nothing to do with anybody from Winner Circle whatsoever.
I just blame Seth in the back. It's okay. I'll be like, well, the comments will be aplenty today from the peanut gallery, like the old guys in the Muppets with the ending of this show. How it goes. Listen, 3, 7, and 30-day package deals available on the Gamblers World website. Guaranteed. Any of those don't show a profit. We recredit your account. We're off to the races again. And also, listen, a 3 or 7-day package. They're nice. We have our runs, right? Anybody can go on a nice little run for a day or two. A 30-day, I think, is the more fair assessment for anybody on a level because it's a full-blown, you kind of get a whole feel of how people look at a game, what they're looking at. You can kind of decipher what's in their heads. So best value, obviously, 30-day package. So go get that at the gamblersworld.net website. Check out Doug over at Doc Sports. I don't know if I could say that, but Doc's a friend of the program.
Yeah, friend of the show, no question about it. And
the Buckies, for you people out there.
53 years. And so, yeah.
Doc's has been 53 years?
Well, actually 53 in August, as a matter of fact, specifically. Yes. So coming up there, and myself, a nice baseball run, 32-19. So happy about that. And despite missing my play in hockey the other day, I'm still on a 7-2 run in the playoffs. So that has been good. And even though there's no picks last week, I just want to I'm going to give myself a shout out, Sean, on this one.
Go for it.
My best bet at the U.S. Open for golf. I went conservative, but Bryson DeChambeau finished in the top 20. He did a little better than that, as it turns out. Okay, and took the prize, and so I had a super big weekend. Also used him in a prop bet, a tournament prop bet. So it was all good. Okay, it was some golf, and so a couple picks this weekend, and hey, ready to go, Sean, from that standpoint.
Definitely no golf for me. Definitely no Canadian football.
You either? Come on.
Baseball, though, I did a couple lose yesterday, but I think I'm 186 and 176 on here or something like that. I'm like 10 games or 500, but big plus money. I think I'm up over 3,000 on the Gamblers World website. Games, my average odds are plus 105. So I do put a lot of dogs and things out there, and you might split out, and people don't think that's good if you're 52%. But if you're getting plus money, I don't know. I kind of like the plus. I kind of we've talked about this before, Doug, on the show. It's like I don't want to think I'm overthinking by doing like a run line, but I don't like laying like a 150 or a 160. I don't. We're just about the Edmonton Oilers. Well, I'm going to do 120. If I think the team's going to win, it's going to be some nail biter 2-1 game. I don't get it. No, I think if a team's going to win, whether it's in the NFL, I don't care about laying 4 or 8 or 12. They're going to win by 30. If I like an underdog under 10 points, I think that team has a chance to win outright. Mm-hmm. I'm going to take the plus monies. If I like the team at plus 120, why wouldn't I like them at plus 170? If I like it, if I think they win at 150, why don't I go back and get plus 120? I don't think the Dodgers laying 230. Why should I lay 230 when I could get actually, I don't want to say that because actually I think laying 140 on the run line tonight, but I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
The logic is there. The only problem,
right? Like when you do a game, do you think the team's going to win, whether it's a dog or fave? I don't really worry about the points, right? I take a dog. I think it's going to win outright. Anything, it's football wise, it's going to be 10 points or under. I think my team has a shot at winning outright.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that. The only thing with baseball is with run lines is I'm not where Ross was on that anymore. I used to be at minus 150 or less on a favorite. Because the world's changed and the marketplace has changed and the odds have changed dramatically.
Yep.
I mean, and maybe not so much the odds have changed. There is a greater division of good and bad teams in Major League Baseball.
That's for sure.
And so with that being the case, you get a lot of numbers. So I'm willing to go somewhat higher. And 32% of games, or right around, 1 and 2 runs. 32% of games end at 1 or 2 runs. Okay, so as far as the final score, so from that standpoint, you're going to get your share of games that end up at 1 run. So if you get, to your point, if you get the right number, I'm not afraid of the run line at all. But there are certain games, especially if you get a low total, if you get something that's like 7, just it lends itself to a lot of 4 to 3 games. So
I feel like I got to venture into the no bottom 9 with heavy favorites. Like just go to like no bottom 9, chop that number in half, kind of like the hockey regulation bet.
Right. I did a lot of that this year, as a matter of fact.
And now you see a lot of, well, I'm going to just bet on so and so to win. Like Keaton win. I'm going to go.
Right.
I'll take, well, maybe not that because it's a pick 'em, but whoever. Louis Gill tonight's a 150. So you'd say him to win, to catch a win, is plus 125 as opposed to laying a 150 or whatever.
Right.
Like those I could slowly move into because you're so used to doing something for 20 something years, just to jump in and say, well, I got to throw all my stuff out and restart over again from scratch. You can't do that. You got to kind of work your way into that stuff.
Right. I agree.
I do.
Same thing with props. I mean, you say you do primarily RBI stuff.
Yeah.
I do almost, not exclusively, but well over 80% of pitcher props. I just focus on those, and and by the way, I think Ross and I had this discussion previously, but if you're looking to jump into props like Sean and I have over the last couple of years, if you specialize in something and get to really know it, you're going to be way ahead of the game, because there was so many. I mean, the amount of options some of these sites have in terms of props, good Lord. I mean, it would literally take you all day to do that. So if you hone in on something, you'll really help yourself a lot.
I know a couple of years ago, when I first started doing my show, it was like people loved the K props. So I tried to jump into some pitcher K props, but I'm like, you know what? I didn't like that, because all of a sudden if a guy gets shelled or, and they look easy enough because, and I'm the first to say this, these players today they don't care striking out. Everybody strikes out 150, 180 times. Who cares? Strikeouts they're fun. All the cool kids are doing it. But I found with ribbies, I could jump on a team and take, and I'm always looking further down the line. I'm not doing, Judge is minus 110. No, I'll take a Verdugo or Torres plus 180. Like I'm looking for down the line, middle, lower order guys at plus 160. I'm 101 and 156 with Ruby props. It's plus 1335. But I think the lowest one I've had was maybe a plus 125 because. All right, 1 and 3, it's losing, but I'm not really getting crushed right there, because I know the next day if I go 2 and 1 in those, I'm going to be making 300 on that,
right?
As opposed to,
and I think that's different than let's just say straight betting. Straight betting, like in things with baseball, because that's one of the things that's always the. I mean, you have success, so your situation is different, but a lot of bettors just like to win. And so if you're hitting a lower percentage because you're playing more underdogs, some bettors, I'm not saying all, but there's some that don't like.
Oh yeah,
they
don't like that. I mean, I could do that. Yeah, you can do all that. I could do that. I also like, you mentioned your pitcher props, and then we'll wrap this up because now we're just talking random prop talk at the end. We'll have to timestamp prop talk for just random stuff. I've been kind of looking at, and I haven't done them yet, the pitcher outs, like when they list the outs.
Yeah.
Why do I feel like just taking an under in that would just probably be golden, and every single, if there's 30 pitchers that day, just do every under. Why do guys do not go far in games? Are they adjusted down far enough? Like I haven't done enough research.
Oh yeah. No, that's of the 80% that I do, I would say 75% of them are outs. Okay.
Right.
Of props. So that's mostly what I do.
That seems like you see 18 and a half outs. This guy's not going 6 innings.
Problem, though. Yeah, here's the problem. It's the odds. Okay.
All right.
That's so. I mean, you say, oh well, this is easy. Well, it's minus 180.
Nope. I'm out of it.
Yeah,
I'm out of it.
so there's where your problem is.
That's why I when I look, if I saw those, I'd be like, oh no. I can't. it's hard doing that. Like I can't 180. You gotta. Then I
Oh
gotta.
yeah,
If
well,
it loses, I gotta win two more.
I would never. I don't even consider that. On those, to be perfectly honest, I probably top out at right around 140 ish, if on numbers, whether it be over or under. I just I just don't see the value of taking that chance on that. It just isn't there. So I
I
tend to focus on other things
I feel
or
like
betting.
as a dog guy, just overall, like baseball seasons to me are tricky. Some seasons are really good, and other ones are just
Right.
terrible because by the time I kind of adjust off the dogs to get to okay, we're at a point where it's just favorite time now. The haves have separated from the
Right.
have-nots.
It's August.
Some last year it was May. This year
Oh,
we're still, I mean, it's it changes. Like here we are, it's almost July, and you got a lot of 500 teams, so you could find value on the dogs.
yes.
By like August and for September, forget it. Thank goodness football's there because at that point I can't. The dogs are just it's just an 0-2 day every day, even getting like whatever dog number or whether he's plus 105 or plus 235. They're just it's over. They've hung up their cleats for the day,
Right.
and it's like all right, I got to lay 160s here. Oh, thank you for college football. 67 days away. 67 days away. Saturday, August 24th. We got Florida State and Georgia Tech. 13-point fave there. Any early prediction here for the YouTube channel watchers here for that
I
game?
have absolutely nothing. I picked up the Athlon and Lindy's over the
All right.
weekend. In fact, I picked it up when I was in Austin. As a matter of fact, walked into a Barnes and Noble and boom, there it was. Like put it in the suitcase. Here we go home. But yeah, so I picked those up and just to start start the process here. I to be honest, I really like baseball, and the other thing is that I really like the time off in the summertime. So but once after the All-Star break, then I start to go to work on digging into NFL and college football for sure.
Yeah. I like to say that I'm working all the time on it. Like you can't take off, but you really, football, especially college now with the transfer, you can't just
Well,
jump in
yeah,
and
I mean, you can't. You have to learn a lot just to
yeah,
catch up.
yeah.
And
And
so
even
no,
then, I feel like I used to do a lot of my stuff in July. Now I find myself in August just because it changes so much even up till then.
right, yeah, and then and a lot of things, and then when you start having, every team has injuries in the preseason. So then you start seeing a guy go down here, a guy go down there. I mean, or somebody, let's just say you got two guys competing for the same position, and one guy loses out in college. He's ready to go to the transfer portal before the season
It's
even starts.
it's
So I mean,
ridiculous.
that's
They got to do something with
well,
this.
it's just it's what it is, for now. And so something will change, but I mean, right, that's what it is now. So you have to go with what you know right now.
I was all for. Listen, the coach leaves, players want to leave. I think they should be allowed to go. That was fine. I don't see why the player had to transfer. They had to sit out a year. The coach
Right.
could just go coach the next year. I thought that was wrong. But what's happening now? It's like, oh, season's over. I'm hitting the portal. I'm going somewhere else. And then they expand the playoffs. That's a whole nother show. Seth will be pulling out his hair if we're here for another hour.
Sean, I have to be somewhere in 2 hours, so I'm not going to bring that one up.
All right, listen. We'll officially wrap it up. Doug, official play is
The under, okay, on the Giants and the Cardinals in Birmingham, Alabama on Fox tonight.
I am going under Padres Brewers 8.5 full game under. And I had the Ribby props out there for you. I had Brandon Donovan plus $2, Christian York plus 165 for Ribbies. Again, before you leave the Winner Circle Sports Betting Podcast, hit the like button here on the YouTube channel. You here? I saw it scrolled across before. 13,000 plus members. Come a long way. Maybe, hopefully by the end of football, we're at 15,000. That'll be nice
That
with
would
our
be.
football picks. We do pretty good in football here. I don't know. I think we do pretty good.
Yes.
And again, premium stuff for you can find Doug at docsports.com, and me and the rest of the chuckleheads. We're all on gamblersworld.net, where all your picks are guaranteed for 30-day packages or less, or daily, obviously. But there is no yelling to smash the like button. Please hit the like button. Thank you for watching. Me, Ross, and Jesse Latimer. So Ross is back. I am not replacing Richard Dawson. All right, he'll be here tomorrow, folks. All right, settle down out here, everybody. Ross is back. Live show, 1 p.m. Eastern. Doug, thanks for joining me today. Chip, good to see you as well. Take care in Vegas. Good luck, everybody. Bye-bye.